All right, my name is Patrick Hinskins. I'm the Corporate Integrated Solutions Manager here at Sunshine. And today we're going to go over the Operations Center. So Operations Center is the hub of where all of this data and technology kind of flows into. To start off, you'd have to have a My John Deere account. I know we talked about that. I don't know how many of y'all have them. I know there's a few that do. But it is free to sign up. You can sign up for an Operations Center account through the My John Deere. And then you have, like I said, you go into the Operations Center, you'll sign up there as well, and then you can kind of play with it, and you really can't screw anything up. So I'm gonna go through some of the high level stuff, I guess, with the Operations Center, and then we'll start diving into some of the tools. One of the things I'm gonna show y'all real quick while I have it up, and I've got a guy that's in the field right now. So within the Operations Center, you can do this from the app or from a desktop. You can do remote display access. It's going to have a tractor that has an MTG, which is the mobile telematics gateway. It's kind of like a cell phone, but it's connected to the display, and you can click on that little double display button right there, and hopefully he's in the field right now. I'm not 100% sure. I texted him earlier. He said he was in there. He's actually running iGrade. Which is Deere's GPS leveling system. I don't know. Maybe we'll see if he responds, but we'll just minimize that for right now. I may text him back in a little bit. So this is your main screen for the Operations Center. It starts off on your map page, and I can scroll in a little bit here, but this would be your main viewing screen. When you're looking in there, if you have your field boundaries set up and stuff like that, you can actually click on those boundaries and see what's inside of them. It takes you into some different functions from there. But these two buttons right here, the first one at the top will be your equipment. So any of your equipment that has JD Link will show up in here. We'll transfer that into your account, and then you can kind of label them and list them the way you want. And underneath that is going to be your fields. So this will be all field names and boundaries that you have tied to it. So we'll go over one tab here, which is your setup tab, and this is kind of where you're going to start, because you're going to want to create all your boundaries and field names to kind of start the process off, I guess, so to speak. So, and you may think, well, I'm not really documenting anything, or there's nothing I really need those boundaries in there for. But it does help tie things back to. You may not need boundaries, but at least have field names in there to tie those track names back to them as well. So we'll go in here. Actually, let me get into our account just to see. Yeah, he's still maybe taking lunch early today. All right, so go Land Manager, and this is where you create your field names and your boundaries. So we come here. You just hit the little. Come to Setup. Go to Land Manager, and you go ahead and create new. And if you have nothing in here, then you're going to create that field name. We're going to go in there. We'll add a client. We'll just say Precision Ag. And we'll just do test and test for the field name. And you can hit save. All right. Let's see here. Well, and then so once we have the field name in there, we can go ahead and create a boundary. So let's go ahead and create a boundary here. We'll just do test. We'll search for that field name. This is to make sure that you're associating this boundary with this field. And then there's a little polygon. You can do squares, circles. Polygons are usually the easiest ones. We'll just go ahead and draw in this field right here. And you can zoom in pretty good, and these boundaries come out really, really nice. Drawn. You have to name it, and I'll usually put drawn if I draw them in there, or if you can use an operation. So if you did a spray job, you could actually use that operation and create a boundary around that operation to make it maybe a little more accurate. All right, so we save that. So now that we have this boundary saved, we'll go into products. So most everybody has sprayers or needs spray records, I guess, is kind of where I'm going with this. And you can come into the operations center and into the products manager, and you can come in and add all of your products that you're going to be using to spray. And it's fairly simple to add them in. You just kind of type in what you're going to be spraying, and you can add them here, and it's going to add it into this product selection tab over here. And then you can just go back, type in another one. Let's do permit, and then we just going to keep adding them into this side over here. Once you have all of your products that you want, you can hit next. It's going to ask you a couple of questions to see if it's a herbicide or if it's liquid or dry. And you save those in there, and then they're going to show up in your product list. So we're kind of building a list of our products, our field names, our boundaries. All this is going to be able to get pulled into our screens or pushed to our screens. Especially like a sprayer, you're going to want to make sure you have obviously all your products in there. Now, from this screen as well, you can create tank mixes. Some people's tank mixes are stay similar. Some depends on field size or whatever. I mean, some can change. So you can do it two different ways. You can do it in here, but you can also do it from the screen. I don't know if Steven showed y'all that on the simulator side about the tank mixes there, but we can go back and look at that if we need to. But if you have all your products in there and loaded into your screen already, you're not having to go in and type in that information. And then you have one operator typing in Roundup one way, round and up, and it's all one word or spaced. Well, all of that information that you're typing in there is getting recorded. So when it comes back in to view it or to analyze it, if you've got two different names, it's going to show up as two different products. So trying to keep that consistent is definitely key in keeping some good records and being able to analyze those records as well. So, we can go tank mix. Say we're doing 10-gallon work, carriers, water. Let's see, we can select some products. So let's just say we're doing Roundup and permit. And then you can come in here and change those quantities, pints or ounces or fluid ounces or whatever your prescription's asking for. So pounds. So and then also it does have a calculator, so you can say how many acres you're spraying. It'll tell you how many tanks and what's the loads should be, and that last partial load as well. All right. And then you can name that tank mix, whether it's burned down or something like that. You can name it whatever you want, and that way when they choose that, they can use that in the screen without having to type in all those different products every time. They can just have that tank mix saved. All right, so now that we've got tank mixes, you can come to team, and you can add operators in there as well. So if you want to track who's doing what operations, you can go ahead and add those operators in there as well. This setup file creator, we're going to go into that in just a second. And then terminals is going to be where all your MTGs are. So if you need to go in there, you can change the settings on how many times they call in a day. I think some sleep settings as well. But this is going to be where all those MTGs are. This is our account, so this has a bunch of them in there. All right. Geofence and Curfews, you can set up geofences, and that is going to be, you can set up like a parameter around a piece of equipment. So if that piece of equipment leaves that area, it'll alert you, send you an alert, and that can come from an email, or if you have the app, it'll just have an alert coming from the My John Deere. The My Operations app. So, it's Operation Center Mobile now. They did change it, so it's Operation Center Mobile app. And any codes for any tractors that you have would come through that app as well. All right, so once we have all of our land and boundaries and that information in there, products in there, we go to Setup File Creator, And this is where you create the setup file to push to your displays. So you come and choose which display you're setting up for. You can give it a name. So if it's for your sprayer, you can set up sprayer setup 2021. Go ahead and do that, I guess. All right, and we're creating it from new. You can use it if you had one created from the previous year. You could just use that one. If you add in a couple of products, you can just go add those products in and not have to go through the whole process again. So we're creating from new. So we'll go to our land. We want to choose all of our boundaries and all of our field names. Now there's a couple of different things. If you have like a 2630 display on your sprayer and you pull in the boundaries and you have section control, if you're outside of that boundary, it will not spray. So be mindful of whether you want to put those boundaries in a sprayer or not. Now if you have a newer sprayer that has a Gen 4 screen, there is a place where you can toggle to have the boundaries on, but just in the background. So where you could still spray, outside. Yep. If you got to spray some levees or whatever, you can still spray it. So we got all of our boundaries and stuff in here. We're going to go to the next one, which will be our equipment. So you can choose what equipment you want to add this to. And be mindful, you do have to have an implement. It doesn't really matter what the implement is. You just have to have one to be able to create a setup file. Just keep that in mind. Products, well, let me choose one of each. Products, we'll choose those products. Now, products are not just chemicals. You can do all your varieties as well of seed. So you can have that into your planter tractor. That way they're choosing that properly whenever they're documenting their seeding. Then operators, you can add, oh look, Christian, you made it. So we can add operators in there as well. And then we'll go to our summary. It's going to tell us what all we have loaded in this setup file. We can create this file. And then if it has wireless data transfer, okay, so let's take a step back here. We've got MTGs. Now there's different connections and different subscriptions for those MTGs. You've got a 3G MTG. You got a 3G MTG and a 4G MTG. So 3Gs will be good until the end of this year. And moving forward, it's going to have to be a 4G because AT&T is no longer going to support 3G data connections. So if it's got a 3G today, you could use wireless data transfer if it has a JD Link Connect subscription. That one is I think around $300 a year for that JD Link Connect subscription. And the Access Plus RDA, which would be just to be able to view the screen and get the codes coming back from the tractors, that one does add no cost to you. So that's your two different options for connections for your MTGs. It's Access Plus RDA and then JD Link Connect. So if these MTGs have JD Link Connect, you can take this setup file and say, I want to send it to this sprayer right here and create and send. And it will send this file to that display. You'll get a little notification at the top by the time on a Gen 4 screen. And it'll say there's a setup file or a file to be downloaded from the Operations Center. You can click on it. It's going to pull all of those field boundaries, field names. If you had AB lines and track names in there, it's going to pull that in there too, as long as we have that on the setup file. So now you've got all of that information that you want in that screen and not have somebody typing in things all the time. And when you're coming back to, like I said, when you're coming back at the end of the year, the middle of the year, whenever, and you want to analyze what's going on, you're not going to have round up 5 different ways, and you'll be able to see that. And also for spray records as well, when you have, I don't know if y'all saw that in here. Let me go back. But on that products page, you'll see they do have EPA regulation numbers tied to them. So when you come into your field analyzer and you want to print out a spray map or something like that, it does have those EPA regulation numbers tied back to that spray job.
But your varieties in that section, You can add cane varieties, or
You can, yes, you can. You can add cane varieties. You can pretty much do whatever. You can kind of make it however you want it. We've done that a few different ways, based on year of stubble and and variety, just to kind of separate them. So, but yeah, you can make it work. Some are workarounds, I guess, so to speak, but some are not.
Patrick, if we don't have the MTG connections, once we do the prescription or the setup, can we export that via USB?
You can, yes. It will put it in your files page here, and then you're going to download the setup file. Let's see. I don't know if I didn't actually create it, but I might have one in here. Well, no, but you can filter down here by the type, so you can do setup, and you would have a setup file here. You would click on it, and you could hit download right here, and it's going to say download to your download to desktop or download to John Deere Data Manager. I would download it to John Deere Data Manager, and that's another little program you'll have to have, but it makes it easier to transfer that information onto a USB the right way, and then that way you can just go plug it into your 2630 or whatever you're going to plug it into. So yes, you can do it manually as well. It's not just through the air. It just makes it easier through the air, and you can send it to multiple machines. So. And you can add MTGs and Ethernet cables to any tractors there or sprayers that have 2630s or Gen 4s. Those two are capable of that.
For $300 a year?
Well, for $300 a year, or right now they're running a program to upgrade those MTGs, or we're running a program, and it's $600. You get 3 years of JD-Link Connect. So if you just buy 1 year right now, it's $300. But if you do the program, you get 3 years. So. And that's installed too. As long as it's a 3G, and we just upgrade it to a 4G or 2G. I'm sorry, if it's got a 2G, it'll do it.
What if you have no Gs?
If you got no G's, I can't help you. No, we can. You can still. No, we put one on we put an MTG on a 9300. I mean, he can see fuel level. He can see all those things too. So you can put it. You can really put it on anything, especially for like location. Which it does location. I think right now it updates. I think it's every 30 minutes. They're moving more towards a faster pace on how this stuff's gonna show up on your phone or on your computer. You're talking like almost every 5 seconds you'll have location history. Yeah, and it's only gonna obviously become more and more efficient on those things. So we've got some good stuff in here, and it's moving forward. So. In fact, I can go over, I guess, one, at least to see a little bit of what's going on for the future. And, well, it's here, but it's right now. It's this work planner. So as long as you have a Gen 4 screen, which is a version 2 processor, which is the newest one, and you've got the JD-Link Connect, you can do what they call work planner. So I can come in here and I can set up, okay, I need to do tillage work on these tractors. I can plan my tillage, and you don't have to put any dates on it, but you say I need to go do these fields. You can take that information, send it to the display. When that operator gets to that field, well, he can actually see a list, and you can prioritize it. I need to do this one, this one, this one, this one. So he pulls into the field and says, are you doing this work? You've already kind of done all the setup for the operator on the planning side. So then that way he gets in the field, it's asking, are you doing this work? He says yes. It fills out all that information, and then it's going to document that data. And then when he's done, it's going to automatically send that data back in there, and you can look on your phone and see when he's done. And then he can move on. He's got a list, so he can move on to the next field, go do what he needs to do. Same thing with spraying. I mean, spraying, it's even better because you're not having to type in or trust that somebody's typing in the right information. You can go set that up for them already. So that's where we're moving. All this stuff is about planning, doing things beforehand, trying to simplify it for the operator, because I know most times when the operator's in there, he's just trying to get it done. He's not trying to figure out if he spelled something right or did this right. No, I'm here to spray. I'm going. So if you can plan that ahead, have all that information in there when he gets to the field, he's ready to go. So that's where it's going now. And then that's under plan, so that's kind of where we are right here. They also have a crop planner. You can go in there and look at your boundaries and say, okay, I'm doing beans here, I'm doing rice here, I'm doing sugarcane here, and just kind of plan out your year there as well. It's a nice little tool. There's a maintenance manager for equipment. You can set up service intervals and all that stuff for your maintenance here too. And then this Aggregate prescription creator. I did a little bit of work. We were looking at some first crop rice and looking at the yields and trying to do some variable rate for the second crop. So I had to kind of get on deer a little bit. We were having some, trying to get this information in that day to have fertilizer put on maybe the next day or the day after. So trying to have that quick turnaround of having that information flow in, make a decision to say, okay, I'm going to create a prescription for this, variable rate prescription for this fertilizer on my second crop, and then go out 2 days later or that next day and actually go apply it. And they've never seen that quick of a turnaround. So we got with them and we've gotten some stuff done, and you'd be surprised what you can do and manipulate to get a prescription to look the way you want it to look. So very good tool here. And you can take this same thing and send it back to a sprayer or a spreader or a tractor that has a coon spreader or whatever it could be on there. So that's those four right here. Then analyze. This is going to be where you do all your, crunching the numbers and looking to see what's happening where. So your analyze tab, you can sort it by harvest, application, seeding, or tillage. So you can take a look at those four different options. Look at seeding rates on your different fields. You can also look at your harvest and look at your yields on those harvested boundaries as well, to help you make some decisions on what varieties are working. You can set them up by fields or varieties, and that way you can really look at what you got coming in. It all starts with setup, though. You want to make sure you got your fields, your boundaries, those things, all that information in there right. That way when you come back to look at a tab like this where you're analyzing what's going on, you've got all that correct information in there. So, and then also I know we've got some cane guys here, obviously, but AB line management, having those correct AB lines tied to the correct fields, or I've got 5 of them in there, we only use 1. What do I do? Well, you can come into your setup and then under your land manager, and you can delete boundaries or AB lines that are not correct or whatever. So you can kind of clean that up and have just the lines you want your guys to use or you to use in those particular fields. So that's the other importance of those boundaries. And then the boundaries, once you're inside of them, you're in it, you can make sure you're choosing the right lines. I don't know if he ever he must not be working today. Oh, there we go. So this is remote display access, and it's actually fairly quick. I use it quite a bit. I'm sure Christian does as well. If we've got somebody that's having an issue and they've got an MTG that we can do remote display access with, we could get them on the phone, but also pull up on our phone. I put them on speakerphone, and then I look at my phone, and I can see this screen right here. And I can see exactly what he's doing. I can see where he's pushing, what he's not pushing, or I say, hit this button over here, and you see nothing happen. You're like, oh, okay, it's down at the bottom to the right. So it helps us kind of get guys going a lot quicker. Sometimes I know in the past, before this was available, you may think you've gotten them to something, and they just, it's still not working. I don't know what to do. So, okay, well, I'm going to come meet you. Well, it's one little button right here that I know if I could have seen it, I could have probably taken care of the problem, and they could be back running. So this allows us to save a lot of road time and get some people going back a lot quicker. So what he's doing here, this is iGrade. This is our GPS leveling system. And you can see here he's got this is the iGrade, panel. You can, in that layout manager, you can do a lot of things and kind of create some different layouts for different operations and applications. So he's running plane control. So he's in a rice field. He's just doing zero grade work.
In the water or dry?
I think he's in the water.
I think he is.
I think he is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. So here is your GPS accuracy. This VDOP number is, the lower the number, the more accurate your GPS is running. So you can see those on any GPS page that you see on your displays. And you can see his SCVs are working up and down. So that's why we put that SCV number 1. You just put it in auto. You go in here and you set your origin, and this right here is your nudge feature. So you can nudge up, I guess, kind of like on a laser. You can nudge up and nudge down. And there's just iGrade, and there's also an add-on which is Terracotta, where you can actually go in there and do some designing of your fields, and it tells you how many yards you're going to be moving and what you're going to be doing there. So, but remote display access, if you have a My John Deere account, you have an Operations Center account, and you've got tractors that are connected, you can hop in there and look at. I know people look at the cane harvesters. They wanted to look at fan speed and stuff like that while their operators are running, and you can view that screen. Now you can't adjust anything, but you can view it. So pretty neat feature there. All right, and then also under this Analyze tab, we've got Machine Reports and Machine Analyzer, and you can spend days in here diagnosing and looking at different metrics on the machines. They are collecting and holding on to a whole pile of data there. Done some work with some people, and I think it's a underutilized, but it's just really hard to make sure you're getting the information you're looking for. So if you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to call me, because I can usually set up some kind of a report or something where it maybe shrinks down the amount of data there. Can help you figure something out if you're looking for it. So, and then last we have, they have a boundary creator, and then if you have Apex and you have information in Apex to get it out, there's an Apex backup tool, and then there's also an import tool, which I don't know. I think you may have to get with us on that one to pull it into your operations center. So, and there's also there's more tools. There's a lot of third-party companies out there. Could be drone companies, could be satellite companies, but they'll tie in with the operations center. So if you want NDVI data from satellites, you can get that imported in. I think Soil Test Pro, you can do some soil testing, and you can have that information flow in. So there's a bunch of different tools there that you can use and connect with, just to help your operation out. That may fit your operation. That's not for everybody, but for you. Oh, let's see here. I guess, does anybody have any questions right now, or want to see anything in particular?
I do.
Go ahead.
We found you with Kane. We found you with yield monitoring.
Okay.
Okay, so after we go through some blocks and get the yield from it, what programs are there to take that layer showing our yields and having someone pull soil samples to where we can write a prescription to get that?
I know Soil Test Pro, you can pull that one into here, and I have talked to Deere, and we're working on some things to maybe get some other soil sampling data into the operations center. But that's the only one that I know of right now that you can actually get into the operations center.
You have somebody that does your soil testing right now?
Yes, I don't remember that third.
So we can, what I've done with customers in the past is we can tie Helen up to your operations center
Yep.
as a partner, give them just the access that they need. They can go in and pull those data maps into their program, do what they can do, and spit a prescription out back to you or them.
Anybody else have any questions? Yeah.
Patrick, I'm gonna bring up a question every time I sit in one of these technology meetings as it relates to data and the use and the cloud use and the aggregation of data.
Mm-hmm.
Proprietary aspects of the data. Each of us as producers in here, we own that data, it's ours, and we're using services. either deer, nutrient, Helena, and the like. Terms and conditions is, I know some of the filings and different things, but once it's aggregated, where does our data go? And just touch on the subject on the proprietary restrictions that Deere has taken in this regard.
I don't know if I can do it from this side here, but you can either have this turned on or off. So you can have your data completely off from that. Anonymized machine and production data. You can turn that off. So you can say I don't even want that to happen. I don't know. That's.
So within Team Manager, you're in control of.
Yes.
So we can.
You can manipulate.
Permissions
Yes.
to go in your account. But you can tell them, I don't want to see what my equipment is doing. I just want them to see the yield maps. You can give them for that. If you don't want anybody to see your yield maps, your equipment or anything, you can lock everyone else out. Even us, everyone.
Yep.
We don't have access back to your
Oh,
account.
let me go back to the Team Manager. That's going to be all in Team Manager.
That's all done in Team Manager.
Team manager.
Yep.
Because one of the Patrick and I laughed. He came in because I started with JD Office. I went to Apex,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very, very reluctant to go from Apex to the Operations Center cloud-based just for the aggregation because our data is an asset. Our data is the biggest, and a lot of manufacturing companies are offering very good services on data management. But once they do that, then they have regional aggregation opportunities that they can resell that data and market that and generate money off of us. And us not realize there's a cost-benefit ratio to that. But just to protect that integrity all the way through the stream is very important that we maintain, I'm going to say, control of our own data and make the choice whether or not it is going to be shared.
That's correct.
Outside
Yep.
of our
That's the
parameters.
biggest reason for these terms and conditions that we've been fighting with for the last year, making sure everybody has that accepted, because if you don't, they're locking access out completely.
That's correct.
Because they don't want to be liable for having someone else's data. So with the terms and conditions, that's whenever all of this came about as far as anonymized data and everything else. So they only want the people that are agreeing to that and are current within that and are going to go in those settings and check what they want to be a part of this.
Yeah, when you do those terms and conditions, it makes you say, look at all of the people you're connected with. Are you okay with who's connected with you? Are these the machines that are in your account? Are these your machines? And that's what that was all about.
Yeah, that's something as we move forward in developing different syllabuses and programs within these programs in this particular agenda. I think it's critical because I'm not a lawyer. I form for a living. Terms and conditions get fairly lengthy, and I'm guilty of not reading the entire 15 pages before I click accept because I want to do other things with my time and my day. So not everything is transparent to us in the legal world in that regard. So it's just something that just as we move forward, just a producer suggestion. Let's touch on that as we move out and make everyone aware of those.
Sure. Yeah. Because it is a big. I mean, you're obviously not the only one. And there's a lot of guys that are worried about what's going on with my data. I know this is mine. What's going on? And yeah, I mean, at least they have. I know there's some software there where you don't have the opportunity to say I don't want to. If you're using their software, then they've got it. But there is that option here to turn that off, to not have that data shared.
When you give John Deere permission to see your data through JD Link, John Deere does not sell that data to anyone or share that data. They use that to improve the quality of the equipment and they use it to watch for breakdowns. We have expert alerts now that we use where it can predict failures in the machine. That data that they get from the machines that the customers allow them to see, that's what they use it for. So they don't sell it or share it with anybody else. They're using it to improve your experience.
And I don't deny the integrity of Deere and the use of that information. But as we get into precision ag and the componentizing, sharing with a subsidiary, those is where we have to be careful. I mean, many of you know there was a leasing company and Goldman Sachs was able to acquire some information and some people made some pretty lucrative decisions based on some aggregation of some data yield prediction for a crop in a particular year. and it was significant, and no one at the ground floor knew about it through the modems and the access and that data manipulation. So those things do come, and we're in an information society where technology is faster than I can keep up with it. That's why most of us are here today. And as that embraces, we see what social media and other folks do and the manipulation and the channeling. I just want us to be on the forefront of awareness, both with producers and manufacturers.
Right. And just to kind of clarify on that too, and as long as that information is staying within the operations center, if you take that information, you want to share your yield maps with somebody else or do something, then at that point, yes, it is, whether you have that clicked or not, it doesn't matter.
That's my soapbox. That's just something.
It's good. That's good. No, I'll be sure and talk about it a little more whenever we have things like this. So. Well, I guess I'm a little early, but I guess if anybody else has any questions, I guess we can go down to the machines now.